Welcome to my channel, The Kingdompreneur, where we talk about all things faith, fashion, and business. And yes, I said fashion. I know I look a little crazy right now, but I'm gonna get that haircut soon. We're gonna be back on track. But today, I just want to talk to you all about my testimony. I won't be able to go into detail about everything, but I'll make some separate videos specifically on certain parts that were very instrumental in my testimony. So I'll just start from my childhood. I would say I didn't have such a rough childhood. Um, I wasn't living in the hood or anything like that. Um, they were bad neighborhoods. They were bad neighborhoods, but they weren't like the hood of the city, if that makes sense. But I had a pretty good childhood. I had both parents in the home. They weren't necessarily in love with each other, but you know, at least I still had both parents in the home. I know a lot of people these days don't have, one of the parents in the home, or sometimes it's not even two parents in the home. The child is just raising themselves. But that's how it was for me. I had my mother and my father. They were both awesome and amazing. They both did the best they possibly could, and I thank them and I appreciate them and I honor them for that. Um, but there were a few things that happened in my life that really drove me away from God. Really drove me away from even thinking about the kingdom or anything like that. Growing up, we went to church. There was a point in time where we went to church like every Sunday, every Wednesday. We were there. When the doors were open, we were there. There was a concert, we're there. There's a recital there, we're there. We were doing everything at the church. And it was a mega church that we were going to. And then, a couple things happened, and I don't know why, but like we ended up moving, and we actually started living in a motel for I don't know how long it was. I know probably like 7 to 8 months. Moved into a motel, and we were living there for a while. And me as a kid, I'm wondering why we don't have a house anymore, why we're living in this motel. But that's just the way it was right there. And that was for a while, and that was for one whole summer. We were staying in this motel, and that really played a big part in my upbringing, because when I was in elementary school, I went to a charter school, which was one of the best schools in the city at the time, and it still is one of the best schools in our city. And as I was going there, I was known as the bully, the school bully. There was not a bone in my body that bullied anybody. I never bullied anybody. I promise you, I was the nicest kid at that school. I was the nicest kid at that school, but I was way bigger than everybody else. I was a big kid. I was the tallest in each grade. Each grade that I went through, I was the tallest. I weighed the most. I was the biggest. I looked like a man. I was growing facial hair in 5th grade. So I guess because of my look, it made it seem like, oh well, this the bully right here. This the bully right here. But that was very rough for me. That was very rough for me. I was very isolated. And in some instances, I was very rejected. I felt very rejected because, the teachers are the ones that kind of like put that label on me, like, man, this is the bully right here. This is the bully right here. This is, and they're telling the kids this. It's like, hey, you got to watch out for him. He's the bully. He's the bully. He's the bully. I'm like, what did I do to become a bully? There was only one instance. I was at PE. We were playing, and little boys, we're playing ninja, and this was like what, first grade? No, second grade. It was second grade. And we playing ninja, and I kicked my leg up, and I accidentally kicked a guy in the stomach. Well, I don't know if it was necessarily accidental. We were supposed to be fake fighting, but I accidentally actually kicked him in the stomach. And then ever since then, there was one teacher. She honestly, she bullied me. She bullied me, honestly. She told all the kids that I was the school bully and to stay away from me. So from like first grade all the way up to fifth grade, nobody wanted to really talk to me. Nobody wanted to do anything with me because they thought I was the bully. But when I got to fifth grade, there was a teacher that was there, which I'm like, praise God, this teacher was there. And she stood up for me. She said, "This is the nicest kid that I have in my class. I don't understand why y'all are calling him a bully. It doesn't make any sense." Because at this school that I was at, it was a charter school, and I was moving up each grade with the same kids. It was the same kids all the way we went from first grade all the way, well, when I left this school in seventh grade. But from first grade to seventh grade, and each year we would move up together. We may have added a couple new students, but it was mainly just the same students each year moving up. So they kept that label on me. And even the teacher that put that label on me, she moved up each grade too. So we were in first grade. She was in first grade. She moved up to second grade with us, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. Well, not fifth grade. Fifth grade is when finally that bully title was broken. I was no longer the school bully because that teacher stood up for me and was like, "This is the nicest kid I have. I don't understand why you're calling him a bully. Stop calling him a bully." And then people wanted to be my friend then. People wanted to be around me. People thought I was cool. People thought this and this and that and this and that. And I was like, where was this from the beginning? I wish I would have had this from the beginning. But that was cool. She really, really helped me out. She really, really helped me out with that. But I go on fifth grade there, and then I go to sixth grade. We move on to the middle school, which is at a different campus. So we go on to the middle school, and it's from sixth grade all the way to 12th grade. I go there, y'all, and I have like 8 referrals that year. It was a year. I had a lot of referrals being on the bus. Because we used to do a lot of stuff. We used to throw stuff at each other. We used to have it's like the little erasers that go on the end cap of your pencil. We used to tear those up into very small pieces, get scissors and cut them up and all kind of stuff. And we used to get those, and we used to have like a bag. Everybody had a baggie full of just the eraser shavings in there. And we used to get them, and we used to throw them and hit each other with them. And the bus driver was fed up with it. Not fed up that we were playing this game, but she was fed up because at the end of the day she had to clean her bus. But on the floor, you can imagine all these eraser pieces are on the ground. Like, I mean, her bus was covered in them. And then people were getting hit in the eye that weren't playing the game. So, and then we were getting in trouble from that. And she got fed up with it, took us back to school and was like, "Hey, I'm done with these kids. They gotta go." So I probably got like 3 or 4 referrals because we stopped, but then we started again the next week. We'll stop, start again, stop, start again, stop, start again. And then after like the 3rd referral, we're like, all right, we got to switch to something else. We started using these little hornets. We used to have like rubber bands that we used to put on our fingers like this to stretch it out. And then we used to pull it back, but we had like we used to fold a piece of paper to where it's like real, real hard. And then we used to pull it back like this and shoot the hornets across classrooms, across the bus. These were 10 times worse because it left welts on people. We used to shoot it in their necks. People started bleeding. I got a couple referrals from that. And then I had a instance with a young lady in a classroom. We were going on a field trip, and on this field trip, we were supposed to bring our money. So I was bringing my money, taking it to the teacher because the teacher was like, "Hey, go ahead and bring the money. If your parents sent money, go ahead and bring it up into my desk." So I get up and start walking to the desk, and this girl jumps up because she wants to be the first one. We all know those type of people, type of kids that we had in the classroom. They just wanted to be first. They wanted to be this. They wanted to be that, which is cool and all, long as you're not disrespecting other people and things like that. But she literally was like, "No, I must be first." So she runs and she bumps me out the way. And this wasn't a small girl. She played on the softball team. So she was something serious. She was something serious at the time. And sometimes when we're younger like that, girls tend to spring up faster than the boys. So she was tall, like she was big girl. She almost knocked me over, and then she starts screaming at me after she, almost knocks me over. And the teacher's like, "What is going on here?" And why? At this time, the vice principal walks in, and she sees the girl yelling at me in my face, right? And I put my hand like this, because she was like in my face screaming, spitting, and I put my hand like this and like push her, like I didn't like forcefully push her like that, but I just like pushed her away like this. How come I go to the office and I get a referral for hitting a girl? I told my mom, I said, no, I didn't. I did not do it. But at this point, with already 6 referrals, it's kind of like she's wondering what's going on, like what's happening to you. Let's move on to 7th grade year. My mom, she sees that I have all these referrals, right? So she moves me to a Christian university. A Christian university. No, not a Christian university, but a Christian school. And I go to this Christian school, and this is where it begins. The Lord really started dealing with me at this Christian school. My behavior changed. My life changed. My thought patterns changed, because this is where I first really understood about the Lord. Like we were in Bible class one day, and and this was a very small Christian school. My class that I was in, since I was in middle school, my class was from the grade 6 all the way to 12th, and there was only like 8 people in there. So that tells you how small. There was only like 1 person per grade in the school. But I learned a lot here. And this is where I first learned about the rapture. They were talking about the rapture in Bible class and all this stuff, and I raised my hand and I say, "What is the rapture?" And the class goes silent. You don't hear nobody talking, and they all look at me, and the teacher's like, and she looks at the class. She said, "Well, who wants to explain to him what the rapture is?" And that was the first time I ever heard of that. I started going back looking. I looked at all the Left Behind movies, because at this point I'm curious. I'm like, what's going on? Hold on. I'm starting to learn about life after death, and I'm like, whoa, hold on. There is life after death. So I started living what I call my good Christian boy life. That's what I started living. I'm like, no, I'm going to obey my parents. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to read my Bible. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It was fantastic. That was fantastic. That started it. That started it right there. Then I move on, and I go to high school. But mind you, I was playing football since I was 5 years old. And at this point, I'm in 9th grade now, so I wanted to go to a very prestigious football school. A school that was known for their football. The school that I went to was Lakeland High School, the Dreadnoughts, and they are well known for their high school football. They're probably one of the best teams in the nation, historically. Maybe not at this moment, but historically, they're one of the best teams in the nation. High school football teams in the nation. So I go there, and I'm training hard. Like, I'm in the best shape of my life. Everything's going good. 9th grade year, I'm still living my good Christian boy life, as I call it. And everything's still going good, but something starts piquing my interest. I'm like, all right, listen, I play football. I'm noticing my friends, they have these girlfriends, or if they're not girlfriends, they're like friends that are girls. So I'm like, hold on a second. I gotta find me something. So I said, but you know what? I gotta make sure she's Christian. I gotta make sure she's on the right path, same way I'm going. So I go and I find this Christian girl, and I think it's right. And mind you, y'all, I'm like 6'1" at this time, like 6'1", 290, 300 pounds at the time. And the only Christian girl I could find she was a short white girl. Like we're complete opposite, you know. But she's the only one I could find with those same values. So I was like, let me give this a shot. And she liked the same values. And I don't think she really liked me like that. I think what it was is she never got that attention. She's never had that attention before because she was one of those kids that she was always in church, always at church. You know, her parents were in the church and everything like that. So she had never gotten that attention. And then also she found out I was Christian and had the same values as her. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah. So we're texting every day, all day, in class, at home, after I get out of practice, you know, everywhere I was going. And that was my first sense of like, and it was never anything like sexual that crossed my mind with this young lady. So I know it wasn't lust, but I felt like that was my first like sense of love in a romantic way. Actually, because actually for me, what I was doing is I felt a void missing of love. Like I felt like love wasn't there for me. I wanted love, you know, and I was searching for it in all these different places, all these different areas. When I really needed the love of God to penetrate my life. But anyways, going on from that, it was good. We talked for and we laughed and we had a good time. But I noticed something was strange. We had agreed, you know, we're not gonna kiss, we're not gonna be like touching like that or nothing like that. But something was strange. We agreed that the only type of affection we could do is, you know, like a hug or hold hands, like when we're in the hallway. But when we were in the hallway walking together, it looked strange. I'm not gonna lie, it looked strange because I'm this 6'1", 200 something pound black guy with this, you know, 4'9", white girl, glasses, in the band type girl, and I'm a football player, and they're like, it looks strange. So I go to try to grab her hand while we're walking, and I noticed she was like, I don't feel comfortable holding hands yet. And mind you, we're like 4 or 5 months in talking, you know, just talking, getting to know each other. And I'm like, why you don't feel comfortable yet, you know, holding hands? And I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why she didn't feel comfortable, you know, holding my hand yet. And, you know, it comes up, you know, we're going on Thanksgiving break, and I have my best friend calls me. My best friend was like, "Hey man," he's like, "I'm still at the school, but you know, your other friend, he's talking about he's gonna take your girl." I was like, you know, I didn't look at it anything like that. I'm like, oh, she's a good Christian girl, you know. I know she's not really talking to anybody else like that, you know. So I took it as that. I'm like, oh, I'm not worried about that. You know, she would tell me if she's not interested in me and wants to be with somebody else. Because we weren't in a committed relationship either, because she was like, her parents don't want her to be in that. I totally respected that, and I'm like, I'm cool as long as I can get, you know, at least a hug and hold my hand, you know, as we walk. I thought that was gonna be fine. But Christmas break comes around and I'm happy, and I'm like, man, I told her, I'm gonna miss you. She's like, I'm gonna miss you too. You know, all this stuff. We go on the day we go on Christmas break. I text her, I call her, I message her on Facebook. I text her, I call her, I text her, I call her, I text her, I call her. I get nothing. It's crickets. I don't hear anything from her at all. Don't hear anything from her at all. So I'm confused, right? I'm confused. I'm like, man, did she get hurt? Did she get, you know, did something happen to her? You know, and of course, because I'm in high school, and I never talked to my parents about any type of like relationship stuff or anything. One, because my parents, what I witnessed was my parents did not have a good relationship. They did not have a good marriage. My dad was a fantastic father, but he wasn't the best husband, right? And that's because he didn't have an example. He didn't know how to be a good husband. Um, so um, moving on from that, I'm searching for her, looking for her, and it's the first day we get back from Christmas break. And mind you, y'all, this is what I used to have to do because we only had one vehicle at the time. We used to have to drop my father off at work at 3 o'clock in the morning, drop my brothers and my sisters off, my brothers and my sister off at my grandmother's home at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, it was more like 3, almost 4 o'clock. And then my mom would have to drop me off at a Dunkin' Donuts near my school, and it's at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And then my mom would go to work. She had to be to work at like 5:30. So I'm already by myself. 4 o'clock in the morning at a Dunkin' Donuts that's not even open, and I'm sitting at the desk. I'm not the desk, but I'm sitting outside at a bench, and I had nothing to do but to sit there and just think. I could sit there and just think. And I thought of business ideas. I thought of different things I could do and the way I wanted my life to be. I sat there and I thought about a lot of stuff. I did. But when I got there at 4 o'clock that morning, when we got back from Christmas break, I sat there and I thought about it. And I said, man, I wonder what happened to her, where's she at, how it's going to be. I was nervous because I knew she stopped communicating with me. I didn't know how I was going to respond at that time because I was very, very upset. So I get back to school. I start walking to school around 6:30 because school started at 7. So I get down to school, and because since I was there so very early, she asked her parents to drop her off earlier, so we would spend time in the morning together, talking and doing all kind of stuff, walking around. So I go there to go to our spot, and I'm walking, and I'm like, okay, she's not at our spot. I'm like, where is she? So I'm walking around the whole school. I'm like, no, I'm finding her. Where is she? So I start calling her, and I hear her phone ringing, but it's like the way we had it was like a courtyard, and then it was like you could walk through these doors, but then you could walk down the hallway. But if you didn't want to go down the hallway, you can go straight through those doors and go back into like another little courtyard. So I heard it, but I heard it through the hallway on the other side of the courtyard. So I go walking over there quickly, and I find her, and she says to that friend that actually said he was gonna take my girl, he was actually there, and he actually did take her. And the first thing I see them doing is they're holding hands, and they're walking. And at that moment, I didn't even know what to think anymore. That was the first time I think I ever felt like heartbreak, right? I didn't want to go to practice. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't feel like doing anything. Everything was drained from me. And everything was drained from me not because of the young lady, and I needed the young lady so bad. It was because that void of love that I was looking for, she was a temporary solution to that love I was missing. And I loved every moment of it. I loved that felt like I was getting that love, but that love was so temporary, So she left, and we would see each other in the hallway. I'm seeing him in the hallway. And the crazy thing is, this guy was my friend. This guy was my friend. Crazy thing is, I had him in first period. I sat right behind him in first period. That was our assigned seat. And he comes in, he said, "Hey man, how you doing?" I acted like nothing was wrong. When inside, I wanted to knock somebody out. But Going on from there, I decided to put my focus on something else. And I had to move on from there, but I still carried that. I still carried that hurt and that pain. So I moved on from there. And what I did is I realized I really liked business, because for me sitting at Dunkin' Donuts 4 o'clock in the morning, waiting for school to start at 7 o'clock, I had a lot of time to think. So a lot of times the thoughts that I had was about business. I was like, how can I make some money? How can I do this? How can I do that? How can I use the talents that I have to do this? So what I started doing is I started selling candy. My ninth grade year. And my ninth grade year, I started making pretty good money. I started making like, I'll say about like $30 a day. $30 a day. I was probably making like about $150 a week. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But then other people started selling candy too. And my money went down. It was like $15 a day. And I was like, no, I got to do something else to be able to keep the same money, if not more, than what I had before. So what I ended up started doing, I actually was like, okay, I got to start doing something that other people are not doing. I went out and started getting the other candy that people didn't have. I started getting like the sour straws, the airheads, all these other kinds of candies. They're still pretty general candies, but the places that we were buying our candy from didn't regularly have this candy. So I used to go to the store and be like, they used to put in orders specifically for me. And I was able to get this candy and sell this candy. Everybody's like, then my sales went back up, right? I went up, I'm making like $40 a day now. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we're doing good. Because everybody else didn't have the candy I had. Well, because I like helping people so much, I really do love helping people. I told one person, hey, just go to this place, go to the store, ask them to put some on order for you. They'll order it for you, take about a week to get here, they'll give it to you. This person, because they didn't understand, like, hey, if you tell everybody else, your money's gonna be gone, they started telling everybody else. Everybody else started doing the same thing. I was like, all right, I gotta completely pivot. Now we jump into 10th grade year, and I knew I had to do something different to be able to keep the money flowing. So 10th grade year, I start off with candy. I start off doing that. I said, no, I got to do something a little different. I started baking. I started making red velvet cakes, sweet potato pie. I started making brownies. I started making pound cake, because I had the recipes from my mother and my grandmother. So I started putting those things together, and I started selling those, and nobody could duplicate that. No one could duplicate it. People tried to make the cakes, but they were making box cakes. I wasn't making box cakes. I was staying up late at night, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. There was a few nights I didn't get no sleep at all, because remember, we had to take my dad to work at 3. So there's some nights I didn't get any sleep at all, because I'm baking cakes, cutting them up, packaging them, putting them in my bags, getting them prepared and ready to go sell. So I'm doing all of this. My sales spike. I'm talking about I'm making anywhere from $75 to $90 a day in school. But other people started like adding their own little twist on different things. It still wasn't quite as good. It wasn't quite as good, because once I hit the $75 to $90, it never went back below, because I was doing something that other people couldn't do at the school. I had recipes, I had this, I had that, and I had skill. So I started doing that. And then I was like, you know what? Just so I can take it to the next level, where I know they will never be able to catch up with me, I started taking my profit, and I started putting it into, I bought coolers. The coolers with the wheels on it, the plastic coolers? I'm taking that to school. I have a duffel bag here, and I have a duffel bag here. I have a backpack on, and I have a backpack in the front. The snacks, the main snacks that people really loved, were right here. I had all the candy right here on the backpack in the front. Down here on the side, I had pound cake, sweet potato pie, brownies, and over here I had pickled eggs, I had sausages, I had pickled sausage, I had pickles, I had chips, I had like the, what are those things called? Anyways, I was a walking convenience store. And then in my cooler, yes, I had my Fantas, I had the Fagos, I even had Yoo-Hoos. Those didn't do so well, so I got rid of those. I had Gatorade. Oh, Gatorade used to go quickly. But I had all that stuff, and people were like, "All right, we're not going that far." I was making money. I was making money to the point. At one point, I was making more than my father. My parents had no clue. They had no clue. They had no clue at all that I was making that type of money. They once figured out, once we went to the mall, and my mom was like, I asked my mom for a pair of shoes, and she told me no because of the price. And I was like, that's all right, I'll pay it myself. And because people were paying me in cash, I just pull out this wad of money. I'm like, all right, I got it. And my mom was like, where do you get that from? I was like, I'm selling snacks. My nickname was Pound Cake. And this is in 10th grade. 10th grade. Also in 10th grade, because I still had that void missing in my life of love, I went searching again. I'm seeing all my friends. They got these girlfriends. They got these boo things. I'm like, all right, I'm feeling that void again. Even though I got the money. I got the money. I need me some love. So I go and I said, all right, I'm going to do the opposite this time. It was a girl. I couldn't stand her. I couldn't stand her whatsoever. But the only reason I was around her is because her friend was cool. I didn't like her. I didn't like her like that, but she was cool as my friend. So we used to, chill. We had the same classes and everything. And I met her in a fashion design class, which I took fashion design 2 years while I was there. And I met her there, and then the best friend was wild. I'm like, she was wild. And I'm like, man, I don't really know about this. And we didn't like each other at all. But someday, the friend, my friend, gave her best friend my phone number for what reason, I don't know why. And she was prank calling me, prank texting me, and I'm like, why'd you give her my number? So I was like, listen, I already know who you are. Just, it's not even funny. And then, you know what? I just start asking her questions. Why does she do this? Why does she do that? And then I just started asking normal questions. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? And I thought it was like a joke to get back at her. But then we actually started having genuine conversation. And then, I don't know, like 2 months later, we were in a relationship. She was Haitian. And, I'm still that 6'1", 200-something pound dude. I mean, she was a decent size. So it looked good. It looked good together. And we were together for a while, but it was totally different than the first one from 9th grade. She was Christian. This Haitian, she was Christian as well, but the relationship was very sexual. Like, it was very sexual. We never had sex or anything like that. But there was just the inappropriate, like, phone calls, inappropriate pictures that we were sending to each other. It was just a whole lot of, lust, a ton of lust. Just, that's where lust was introduced. And I'm like, and at some points I just wasn't feeling it no more. And I was just like, I'm gonna just let it go. But I was like, man, that love that's there, but what really made me let it go is she ended up having to move away because her mom got a new job. And a couple months after she moved away, it was kind of done with. We still kind of talked here and there, but it was kind of done with the relationship. But there was another girl in my fashion design class I started talking to. This is another white girl. nothing wrong with white girls. You know, love who you love. You know, as long as it's a man and a woman, love who you love. But it's another white girl. This time she's, you know, she's tall. She's a good, decent size and everything. So it looked decent. And it was, you know, she loved black guys. It was known she loved black guys. And I thought with the Haitian girl, it was very sexual. With this girl, it was even more sexual. Like it was like it was like Jezebel. It was definitely Jezebel. Yeah, 100%. And you know, I thought she really liked me. You know, so we talked every day about everything. I used to help her with the guys that she liked and all this kind of stuff. And then one day, you know, she said she liked me, and I told her I liked her. And then we're talking and we're talking and we're talking, and that same cycle happened. We're talking about 5 months. She says that she doesn't want to she can't be in a relationship because of her parents. Understand, I respect it, because I was a nice guy. I was a real nice guy. Yeah, I was a real nice guy. I was the good guy that no girl wanted, right? And then from there, I told her, I was like, let's at least hold hands in the hallway. You know, you could give me a kiss every now and again. You know, so we're walking in the hallway. You know, I wanted some type of ownership. I wanted to feel love. I wanted to feel like somebody was there for me. Somebody loved me. Somebody wanted me. Somebody wanted to take ownership of me. Like somebody wanted me. You know? And again, she was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And I'm like, man, what is it with them saying they don't feel comfortable doing this? Like what? And I started evaluating myself. I was like, is it me, or do they not really like me? Are they lying to me? And then those same feelings from the first girl were still coming up. You know, they were still coming up. And it made me feel the same way. And the exact same thing happened. And come to find out, you know, there were people sneaking in and out of her window to her house, some guys. And it was just a complete mess, you know, complete mess. And I ended up just dropping her too. I was just like, you know what? I ain't got no time for that. But this is the era. This is the era where I turned into what they call the bad boy. It was so easy to get females when you act like you don't like them. When you act like you're not a good guy. And it didn't make any sense to me. But I understand it now. It's because of sin nature. And I didn't understand that at all. Like it made no sense. So you know what I did? Because I still had the void in my heart for love. I wanted to feel love from somebody, right? I wanted to feel love I wanted to feel like a closeness, like you want me. You want me. You desire me, right? So I said, let me give them what they want. I start acting like a bad boy. I meet up with one girl, and you know, I was still a virgin. I had no sex or nothing like that. But I meet up with one girl. We talking, we hanging out. She ended up liking me, but I can tell she wanted to maybe either kiss or maybe, you know, a little like physical touch or something like that. And I wouldn't give it to him. Nope. I was never a rude person. It was so hard. This was the hardest thing for me to ever do to a female, ever. I could never be rude to a female. I'm a lover boy. I am a lover boy. Right? So I never wanted to do any of that to any female ever. So this was very hard to do. So what I ended up doing is just being a little rude to him and just being like acting nonchalant. I started acting real nonchalant. And when I start acting nonchalant, they're following me in the hallway. They're trying to talk to me, get my attention. Now, I'm not talking about like I had no groupies or nothing like that. It wasn't like that. But it's like when I'm walking the hallway, they're running up to me like, Why you didn't text me back? And I just act nonchalant, and it just made them want more and more and more and more and more. But it was feeling that love. Oh man, somebody desires me. Somebody loves me. Somebody's here for me, right? And then I met this young lady. Moving on to my 11th grade year, I'm still selling all the snacks and all the candy and all this different stuff. I'm making a lot of money. I'm making a lot of money at this point, and I'm just like, my parents started to trust me a whole lot more. So I'm able to go out on Friday nights, go out on Saturday nights, and I got money. It was smooth sailing. So I met this young lady in one of my math class, and she was pretty cool, but she was an extreme extrovert. Extreme. I mean, on the first day of school, she's loud. She's getting everybody together. She's talking, playing games, having fun. I'm like, okay, she's saying pretty cool, pretty nice, and I'm an introvert, so I'm still chilling. I'm chilling, got headphones in the corner on the first day of school. And she comes and she sees me and she starts just talking and telling me about different stuff. And then she was like, and as class goes on and there's like a few weeks go on, she's like, hey, you ever skip school? I said, no, I've never skipped ever. And she was a 12th grader. She was a senior. I'm a junior at this time. She's like, you ever skipped? I was like, no, I never skipped. She said, you want to skip with me tomorrow? I was like, I was playing a rough game. I was a good boy. I was a lover boy, but I was acting hard. I was acting real hard. And I said, I never skipped school. Do they call your parents? Because my mom, she'll knock me upside my head. Then my dad will be very disappointed in me. And I said, I just don't want to deal with none of that right now. And she was like, no, they don't call your parents. I was like, all right, I'll try it. I tried it. I had a lot of fun. And it was this young lady too. She definitely was carrying, some kind of spirit, and got me entangled in a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, the first time I went just to hang out with her, nothing sexual, nothing like that, no intentions. I wasn't attracted to her, nothing like that. We go through the McDonald's drive-thru and she's completely butt naked, and she was just doing it as a prank. We're in the car, she's driving, and as she's driving, she's just taking off all her clothes, and I'm confused because I didn't know what was going on. But long story short, to get past that, later in the year, she had a business herself. She used to pet sit for when people had to go on vacations, and she used to house sit, like for people that used to be snowbirds and stuff like that. She would have a whole list of like houses that she would go to just to check on. She would go and change like air filters. She would go and check on the pools and this kind of stuff at these people's houses. So she was making a decent amount of money too. But she used to throw parties at these houses when these people were gone. So I used to go to the parties. I was one of the main ones at the parties. When it was a party, she called me. And because I was on the football team, she became close friends with me. She used to tell me, she used to be like, hey, I really like him. Can you get him to come to the party? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll get him to come to the party. And she was very sexual, and she, I saw what she, and at this point is where I started opening up to that. I started opening up because at this time I'm still a virgin. I'm in the back of my mind, I'm still remembering 7th grade me, 8th grade me. I'm a clean holy boy. No, I'm not doing that. I gotta go to heaven. But at this time, 11th grade year, I start opening up to that. I start opening up to different things. And at these parties, there'd be alcohol. And when I say a party, right, I'm not talking about like a big party that you see on like TV or anything, but I'm talking about like a party like probably like 6 people, 8 people, kind of like that. Maybe 10 people. And there was drugs, there was alcohol, and there was sex for sure. And my first experience, seeing this was, I went to one of the parties. Well, first, she introduced me to her best friend, which did not go to our school. Her best friend lived in a different city, but it was still a pretty close city. And she's like, "Ooh, you should talk to my best friend." And I'm like, "Wait, I don't even know what your best friend looked like. I don't really know what that's gonna be like." And she was like, "I'll just set up a date." And I didn't have a car at this time, so the best friend, she comes and she meets me. I meet her for the first time. Initially, I was not attracted at all. No, I was not. And I meet her for the first time. I still get in her car. We still ride around and talk and stuff. But I knew once I got out that car, I'm like, nope, nope, that's not it. I get back home and I started pondering it. I said, well, maybe. And then I was like, nah, that can't. I will not. I will not. I will not. I will not do that. So, probably like a month or so goes by, and the friend, she invites me to another party, and she has me bring some of my football friends. She's like, as long as you bring your football friends. And what she was doing is she would tell me a football friend that she wanted me to bring. I would bring them, and she would sleep with them. And that's how it was rolling. That's how it was going. That's what she was doing. And one of these parties, there was three of the guys that played on the football team, in there with her. And that's when I saw for the first time, and I was just like, okay, I'm seeing this in real life. Like, I'm seeing her with three guys at the same time. What am I started contemplating, like, what? And I feel like at that moment something happened, because also her best friend was there, and the best friend was high. She was drunk, and she starts like touching me, and I'm like, I didn't smoke, I didn't drink. I'm still not smoking, still not drinking at this time. Nothing. I'm good, holy boy. So she starts touching me because we're the only ones in the living room. And while she's in the room with the guys, and then her friend is like, "Hey, you want to go to that room? We can sleep in there, until in the morning." Because at this time it's like 3 a.m. Till she's like, "I'll take you home in the morning. We can just sleep in there, and I'll take you home in the morning." I was like, "All right, we'll do that." So I lay on the floor, she lays in the bed, and I'm just like, okay, well, cool. I'm cool right here. She's like, "Hey, you don't want to come up here?" And I was like, "I think I'm good down here." She's like, "Well, just come up here. Maybe we can just, I know you don't really want to be with me or anything like that, but we can at least like cuddle, and then, that's it." That void, that love void was right there. I had a void of love in my heart. And when she desired for me to come and to cuddle with her, that void was being temporarily filled. It was being temporarily filled, so it made me feel good. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I can come up there and cuddle with you. Yeah, no problem. So I go up there and I cuddle with her, and then, it's never just a cuddle. One thing leads to another, and that was my first time, receiving oral sex. But there was a connection that was built just like that. Anytime you do something sexual with someone, you build a tie to that person. So after that day, I'm like, I couldn't stop thinking about what just happened. That was my first like sexual experience. I couldn't stop thinking about like, whoa, like this just happened, and I didn't really understand what was going on. Um, and I was like, I just want more of that. I want more of that. I want more of that. I want more. Because because that happened, that also filled the void temporarily, because it filled it while it felt good, but when I went home, it was still empty again. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I can be in a relationship with her. Let me just start talking with her, start flirting with her a little bit more. I knew she liked me. It was no brainer. I knew she liked me. So I started talking with her and being nice and being friendly and sending her like little selfies and stuff like that. She started sending selfies back, and then next thing you know, we're in a relationship. And it's 11th grade year, so I'm a little more mature. And we started taking this relationship a little bit more serious. So almost all of the 11th grade year, I'm with this girl, and she, we keep going to these parties. I keep inviting my friends, all my friends, and but as I'm inviting friends, her friend would be there, which was my girlfriend at the time. Then she was always there, so me and her would go do things, while the other young lady, her friend, my girlfriend's friend, would go do things with my friends. And sometimes we would all do something like collectively, like it was just open, like by the pool, living room. And I realized like something was going wrong, but I still never had sex. I still did not have any sex at all, like actual penetration sex, right? So I was like, you know what? I was like, I was holding on. I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I knew if I did that, it would be so wrong. So we dated for probably about a year and a couple months. And then we were finally like, all right, let's do it. I'm over her parents' house. Her parents aren't home. She brings me over, sneaks me in, and we do it. And it was terrible. And I'm not talking about like the performance of it being terrible, but there was something in me right here that was just like, it's like it just sunk, like now I know that was the Holy Spirit. That was the Holy Spirit in me. The Holy Spirit. That was the Holy Spirit. Yeah, that was the Holy Spirit in me speaking to me like, no, don't. But I knew as soon as I, penetrated, it was like I grieved the Holy Spirit. And sometimes before, when I was single, I used to think about that moment and I used to just cry, because I'm like, man, I hate that I did that. I hate that I did that. Only one, because that was supposed to be just for my wife, and two, the way I felt, that I felt the Holy Spirit was saddened that I did that. But at that time, I didn't understand like was the Holy Spirit. So from that moment, that day, I was like, I'm texting her, I'm calling her, and we're still going about like a relationship and everything. And I'm texting her, I'm like, hey, you want to meet up tonight and, get it on again? And my mom saw my text messages. And and at this time, which I forgot to mention, I'm smoking weed at this time. I'm drinking at this time. I'm having me a good time. Or what I thought it was a good time, because that whole year and like, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months, that void that I had it could be temporarily refilled. I'm like, okay. So when it started fading away again, a simple little text, refilled. I see her, she give me her, refilled. Just a phone call, oh, it's refilled. Because I had a girlfriend. Anytime we did something sexual, oh, it's refilled. I'm being refilled. I'm being refilled. I'm being refilled. Right. So it was going what I thought was great. It was going great. And I told her, I said, let's go ahead and meet up. Let's, we can do this all the time. And then I said this so crazy, y'all. I said, because we didn't have a place where we could just do it. I was like, hey, we can do it in the car. I know this church that we can park right beside the church, and the church is beside the woods, so nobody really see us. And I felt that feeling again. Like, it was just like I was like, what is that? Now I understood, because I'm trying to go on the church ground and sin. Like, at this point, I'm thinking, my mind is full of sin. I'm smoking weed. I'm drinking. I'm getting drunk on the weekends. I'm doing all kinds of stuff, man. And, I wasn't really understanding what I was doing at the time. But then literally, because I was talking about, the sex so often, we had sex one week, and the next week we were broken up. The Holy Spirit removed her out of my life. But because I was such a lover boy at this point, right? The way I got her was acting like I didn't care about her. Acting like I didn't want nothing to do with her. She loved the chase. But when I got with her and my true self came out, and I started becoming that lover boy, the one that wants to take care of her, the one that wants to love her, the one that wants to fulfill her dreams, the one that wants to be with her and take care of her for the rest of her life. I was taught, and at this point, y'all, when that whole year passed by of us being together, I'm a senior now. She's a senior also in another city, and I was like, all right, listen, it's been a year. It's been on like a year and a half. I was like, listen, when we graduate high school, we can just get married. Because that was my dream, y'all. Because at 12 years old, I had a series of dreams that were very vivid. And it was showing me how my life was going to be. And I knew I was going to be married young. So ever since that point, I was searching for a wife. Where's my wife? I need to find my wife. And I thought I found her. I was like, yeah, this is my wife right here. We're going to get married. And when she sent me a text saying she didn't want to meet up, and that we needed to break up, because I was talking about marriage a lot, because that was a dream of mine, to be married. I wanted marriage so badly because I wanted that void to be filled. I felt like if I got married, the void would be filled. I'm like, okay, I already had a dream that I'm going to get married young, so I need to get married young so that void can be filled. Well, no, that was not the case. So when she sent me that text saying, she wanted to call things quits because her parents were racist and they didn't want her with a black guy. But that's all she dated was black guys, to be spiteful, I guess. But she never told her parents she was dating black guys. She just did it because she's like, okay, my parents are always telling me not to date black guys. Let me find out what it's like to date black guys. So she started dating black guys, and then she broke up with me and told me like, hey, because you're black, I know we're not going to be able to go to the next step. We're not going to be able to get married. So there's no reason for us to be together if we're not going to be able to get married and go to that next step, because my parents wouldn't be very happy. It wouldn't be a happy marriage, and blah, 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 blah. I was like, forget all that. I said, I don't care what your parents think. I don't care what my parents think. I'm going to marry you. You're going to be my wife. You're going to have my kids. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And mind you, at the beginning, I was not attracted to her. But because I had a void missing in my heart for love, I was seeking her for love. I was willing to do anything to fill that void. So that day she sent me that, right? It was during the daytime. Man, I never cried so hard, man. I just cried and cried and cried because it brought back that same feeling from girl number one in ninth grade and girl number two in 10th grade that rejected me because they didn't want to be seen with me in public. Now it's girl number three, the same thing. The rejection of love. They were denying me love. And yes, this was another white girl. And like I said, nothing wrong with white girls or anything like that. But this was just my experience. But this is the third one. And that third time it broke me bad. It broke me bad. And at this point I'm thinking, man, I will never find love. I'll never get this void feel. Well, at the time I didn't know it was void, but I'll never be able to feel this feeling and all this different stuff. And I was just like, man, I don't want to be here anymore. I wanted to be off this earth. I wanted to kill myself, y'all. I didn't want to be here no more. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was at a breaking point, a point where, man, I wouldn't wish that feeling on anybody. There was a void just missing in my heart that I just couldn't seem to fill after all these years of trying to fulfill it. Even from, I had the rejection in elementary school. I'm the school bully, right? Nobody wanted to be with me. Love wasn't there. I didn't feel the love. At my house, love was there. Love was there, but it wasn't displayed like in, how can I say this? It wasn't displayed in like affection. It wasn't like constantly told to us, like told to me and my brothers and my sister, like, hey, I love you. I love you. I love you. I care for you. I love you. I'm glad that you're my child. All that kind of stuff. That wasn't told to us. We could feel the love through their actions, the things that they did, but my parents were going through a hard time with finances. They were going through a hard time in their marriage. They were going through a hard time at their jobs. They were fed up. They were stressed out, all these different things. So it's like them telling their child that they loved them was kind of on the back burner. So I wasn't feeling the love from my parents. I didn't feel the love in elementary school when I was rejected. I didn't feel the love from the first girl. I didn't feel the love from the second girl. I didn't feel the love from the third girl. I said I was done. I wanted to be done. I wanted to be off this earth. I said, this is what this earth is about. I don't want to be here anymore. So there was a lake that we used to hang out at. I went back to this lake and I went to the dock because at the time I couldn't swim. I can swim now, but at the time I couldn't swim. And I was just going to jump off the dock and just sink to the bottom. Nobody would have ever known. That would have been it. That would have been the end of Dominique Davis. I was going to be done. But y'all, on my last time, I was like, you know what? Before I do that, I'm gonna text her, see if maybe we can hang out today. Cause I was searching for the love to fill my heart. I needed it to fill my heart. I needed it. At that moment. And she said, and this is a day after we break up. She says that she's currently in the car with another black guy. And she's telling me this like we're just good old buddy friends. She acted like it was harmless. She was like, it's, the same girl, her best friend, the one that was my friend that I met that was throwing the parties. She had met two other black guys that they were not her best friend, not hanging out with. And I was confused because I was like, you just told me you didn't want to be with a black guy because it wasn't going to work out in the long run, but now you're with another black guy in the backseat of your car right now. I threw my phone. I ran down to the lake to get on that dock and jump off. And this is where my life changed. there was an angel waiting for me on the dock. I tried to jump, but I felt a hand right here, and I was not allowed to jump. I could not jump. I could not jump. All I could do was fall to my knees. I fell to my knees. I was boo-hoo crying. I never cried this hard in my life. Because I was like, this void, I can't feel it, I can't feel it. I need somebody to love me. I ended up getting back in my car, and my house is probably like 25 minutes, 30 minutes away. So I just drove in silence. I was still crying, but it wasn't like boohoo crying. It was just tears, just the whole way home. I got a straight face, but tears are just flowing because it was an overwhelming sadness that I had. I was like, man, what is life? I said, man, I can't even kill myself. And I had these thoughts in my head like, man, I can't even kill myself. All right, this is crazy. Nobody's on the road at this time. It's like 3 a.m. in the morning. I said, I can't even kill myself. That's crazy. But this is where things change. I go home and I get in the shower. I say, because my eyes were red. You know how you've been crying for a long time. You see the tear marks right here on your face. Yeah, that was me. But everybody in my family was asleep, so I said, I'm just getting a shower. I got in the shower and I don't know. My dad. I thought of my dad because my dad. I was also sad too because at this point, my mom left the house that we were living at with my dad. My dad couldn't afford the bills at that place, so he had to leave. And he was homeless, for years. So I was sad that he was homeless. He was living in his car. We still saw him all the time. He still took us to football games. It was like it was normal. It was just that he didn't have a home to go to. He would just go to a parking lot or go to the movies or something and sleep. While we went to and stayed with my grandmother. And while I'm with my grandma, so we're with my grandmother. And also at this time, my mom was in nursing school. So she would go to work during the day and nursing school during the night. So us as the kids, we never saw her. I never saw her for like an extended period of time. So I'm like, I'm not seeing my mother. I'm not hearing I love you from my mother. I'm not feeling any love from my mother, even though what she was doing at the time, she's going to nursing school, she was going to nurse school so her kids could live a better life and have more finances and never have to be homeless again and stuff like that. So I finally understood that. But at the time as a kid, I was like, man, mother's not here. I'm basically doing stuff on my own. I'm still selling the candy and all this kind of stuff. I got my own money. I'm putting, my own gas. I got a car at this point now, it was my grandmother's car. Because she had an extra, so I was driving her spare car. I can go wherever I want to go. I can stay out as late as I want to stay out. I just felt like I could do all this different stuff, but I'm still missing love. So when I finally get back from going to the lake, trying to kill myself, I ended up going, getting in the shower, taking a shower, and like being in there for like an hour. And I remember what my dad used to do. There was some points where I could tell he would never tell us as kids, but I could tell, there was something bothering him. He would just put on worship music, He would put on worship music and just let it play while he just does whatever he has to do. If he's like, at the time, if he was like making dinner or something, he would put on worship music and just be silent. So that's what I did. I put on worship music and I was just silent in the shower. And it was a point where something was roaring up on the inside of me, and I was just like, it was a cry. but I just cried out to God. I didn't know what I was doing. It just came out of me. I was like, God, I don't understand why this is happening to me. I just don't understand. And I was like, God, I need you. I'm just like, God, I need you. God, I need you. And I didn't understand anything about God at the time. It was just kind of like, I knew I wanted to be a good Christian boy, but I didn't really understand what that was. I just tried to stay away from all the things I thought was bad. And probably like 3-4 minutes into just crying out to God, oh, the most beautiful moment ever. The most beautiful moment ever in my life. I felt the angel's hand touch me again. But this time, I started speaking in tongues. And mind you, I had no clue what tongues were. I'm like, what? In my head, I'm like, what is coming out of my mouth? Like, it's just like going on. And I'm just like, and that's when I realized that the Holy Spirit's living on the inside of me, and God started changing my life from that moment on. From that moment, and I'm on my knees in the shower. The water's just running on the back of me, and I'm just like, man, Lord. And it's like I all of a sudden had a heightened awareness of the presence of God. I had a heightened awareness of like, okay, I understand you're here, God. And I felt love rushing to me. Like, whoo, whoo. It was the greatest feeling ever. I felt that void in my heart. It was like, imagine like a hole like this, right? What those young ladies, they were temporarily filling this hole. Like, it's like a little dot. They were just putting a little dot there. But when God, his love came rushing in, it was like they put the little dot right here. So it's like, okay, that's enough for now. But when that night, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, I felt love rushing to me like this. And it's like nothing I could explain. I fell on my knees in the shower, heartbroken, and I got back up stronger than ever. Stronger than ever. Stronger than ever. The next day, I'm up, I'm happy, I'm smiling. I had joy. I had joy unspeakable and full of glory. I had supernatural joy. I was happy. I was happy. I was happy. I'm helping my grandma do things. I'm helping my brothers, my sisters. What you want me to do? What you want me to do? And in my head, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, shouldn't I be sad right now? Shouldn't I be discouraged right now? Shouldn't I be upset? I didn't feel that. I didn't. I felt nothing but happiness and love. I felt it. It was very real. And that was my first supernatural experience. And I told God, because at this point, I started talking to God. And I'm like, I still didn't really understand anything at all, y'all. I still didn't really understand anything at all about the Lord or anything like that. But I started talking to God. I was like, God, I know you're real. That what I just experienced, that was you. That was you. And it changed my whole life. So I'm still in my 12th grade year, right? And football season is over. I had some scholarships for football. So I ended up taking one of the scholarships. I go to a school in Nebraska. Don't know why I ever did that. That was terrible. And also, this is what happened during my senior year. From that moment, something changed in me. Desires changed. I used to really love playing video games. I still do like playing little video games here and there. I'm playing video games, but instead of me just playing the video games and focusing on the video games, I put on sermons. I'm like, okay, I don't know much about God at all, but I know that was very real what I experienced. So I said, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put on sermons so I can learn about God. You know, while I'm playing my video game, I'm gonna learn about God. I'm gonna find out about God. So I'm listening and I'm learning, you know, because I'm playing video games for hours. I'm like, while I'm playing, I'll just put on some sermons, let that play so I can be listening to it instead of listening to the game. Which I still do that to this day. As I play my college football, and I turn off the volume on the game and I listen to sermons. I just listen to sermons, and I'm listening to sermons. I'm like, man, I said, why do I feel myself like I should be on that stage? Like, why do I feel like that? And you know, I was like, man, that's pretty awesome. So I'm doing this for a while. Just listening to sermons, right? And then I ended up two of my best friends. They ended up transferring schools to a Christian school, but this is a big Christian school, the best Christian school probably in Central Florida. Yeah, 100%. And I told my mom when I did see her, you know, I told my mom, I was like, hey, they're transferring schools, you know, I really want to transfer too. But this school costs like $10,000 per year in high school. We didn't have that. We was living with my grandmother. But this is how I know it was the Lord, because God made a way for me to be able to go there. I got on a scholarship, and then since we were living at my grandmother's house, my grandmother agreed for us to be able to stay there, where my mom paid for my tuition, and God even put it on my mom's heart, you know, softened her heart to allow me to go there. So I went to Lakeland Christian. Absolute best year of school I ever had. Ever. I went there and I learned a lot about God. I had Bible classes. We talked about God in every single subject, and it was a bigger school, and all the people that really went there had money. Their kids had money. I'm talking about like these kids driving BMWs, Mercedes to school. Big old trucks, F4 150s, Raptors. Yeah. They 16 years old driving a Raptor. One of my friends, he got a brand new BMW. So it allowed me to see something very different from this very prestigious football school where, you know the demographic that will go to that type of school, right? And then I go to the opposite school. But the funny thing is, there was like, how many? Probably like 9 of those demographic football players transfer into the Christian school. So our football team became very good very quickly. We actually went to state semifinals. First time ever even going to playoffs, and we made it all the way to the end. But the reason it was the best year of my life, I started learning about God. I was very excited. And I started to, part of my purpose was being revealed. It was revealed in a little piece. And all I knew was, like, because I was spending this time with God, because I was listening to these sermons, I started reading the Bible. I didn't understand the Bible at all, but I started reading the Bible and things like that. And then I it was something in my heart, right? It's something good. It was something good. I felt good. And I became, kind of close with the assistant principal of the high school. And we used to have chapels every Wednesday. And on these chapels, we used to have a teacher used to do the chapel, like preach. So I said, hey, and this is in front of the whole school, y'all. So I said, hey, could I do maybe do one of these chapels. So I would be doing it in front of. Well, they split the chapels up into two, but I would have been doing both services. Um, so it would have been in front of like 800,000 people, not 800,000 people, 800 or 1,000 people, somewhere in there. Um, and he told me yes. He was like, yeah, that'll be fantastic. And matter of fact, you'll be making history. You'll be the first student ever to do a chapel. And something inside of me was leaping. Remember how before I told you I felt like it like dropped, and it was like when I was making the, grieving the Holy Spirit. This time it was like something was leaping, like it was excited, like happy, and it was kind of like that was fulfilling me. That made me feel so wonderful. I was like, man, like this feels so good. Like, yeah, I want to do that. I'm preparing for months, y'all. Preparing for months. And they were like, and assistant principal, he told me, he said, we're gonna have to do it towards the end of the year. Just so it's gonna be a special student-led service. So we're gonna do it towards the end of the year. Perfect. I'm like, cool, it's fine with me. I'll wait till the end of the year. Then this comes, I probably like 2 weeks out. We did face a lot of racism at this school because these kids weren't used to black guys being at school. There was probably a couple, but they weren't used to the black guys like that were rough and tough. Let me say that. That come from that background, So they wasn't used to us. So there were a lot of like racist things that was said sometimes. And 2 weeks out, I'm excited, ready to do this chapel, and I hear some of the other students talking about chapel, and I was like, yeah, I'm telling everybody, I'm like, hey, I'm doing chapel next week. Yeah, I'm doing chapel. Yes, I'm gonna be the first student to ever do it. 2 weeks out. 1 week out, and one of the guys come up to me, and they're like, hey man, they're like, you're not doing chapel anymore. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, nobody's spoken to me about that, so I kind of like wiped it off. I was like, I'm doing chapel next week. And they was like, no, they're gonna switch it to us, because we've been here since we were in kindergarten. They call them lifers. They can go from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. We've been in the 12th grade, and you only been here 1 year, and you're going to be the first student to do it. It should be somebody that's been here for a while. And I was like, no. I said, no, they already told me that I can do it. So I kind of just left that alone, whatever. Later that day, the assistant principal comes to me, and he's like, hey, so I know we told you that we're going to be able to do chapel, but we actually are doing something special. They made up some stuff, man. They made up some stuff. Overall, the school was fantastic. Best year of school ever. And they made up some stuff, man. And I was like, man, what? They were saying they're doing some kind of special with the class, and they wanted these other students. It was like 4 of them. They were gonna do a combined like message, so that way all 4 of them could be the first students to ever do a student-led chapel. And my heart was broken. I didn't even understand why, though. I didn't understand why I felt so heartbroken. I left school because school was out. I'm walking to my car. I'm happy. I'm joyful. And then the vice principal stopped me on my way out. And he gave me the news. And I was like, but you all told me I could do it. And I've been waiting on this for months. Like 4 or 5 months. And I'm just like, it's my time. It's my time. Because I felt something in me that really wanted to do it. Really, really, really wanted to do it. And I was excited and happy about it. And then it's like they just swept it away from me. And I said, what? I was confused. I was confused again. I was like, why would y'all do that? And the way it seemed like they didn't want me to do it because I was there for only 1 year. The other kids had been there since they were in kindergarten, and then two, there's only like 12 black kids in the school, and the other 900 and something are not black. So that happened, and I was heartbroken, man. I didn't even come to school the next day. I didn't even go to school the next day. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to school, because I would just be crying all day. I would have been just crying all day. I would have been crying all day, man, because something inside of me knew that I was supposed to be up there, not from a selfish thing, but it was like there's something that feels that like I should be speaking to people, right? So we move on from that. It was a Monday that they told me. Tuesday I didn't come to school, and then that Wednesday I went back to school, and that's when they did chapel. So I was there for their chapel, and I was like, and I told myself, I said, you know what? I'm not gonna be upset with them. I'm not gonna be mad with them or nothing. I cheered for them. I clapped for them when they were done. I told them great job when they were done. I left it at that. So I still wasn't able to figure out why I felt so heartbroken that I wasn't able to do it. But we go on our senior trip. This was a highlight of our senior year. We go on our senior trip, and on the senior trip, we were able to go to Seattle. We went to Seattle, which was fantastic. Which, by the way, I'm in Florida. So to go to Seattle was like a shock. But it was fantastic, man. Fantastic. And we stayed at this Christian camp. I believe it was called Warm Beach Camp. I believe so. And that same vice principal was like, hey, man, we're actually going to do a chapel here, and we want you to do it. So I was able to do the chapel, but I was not only able to do it in front of the senior class that was just graduating, but I was also able to do it in front of other people that were at the camp. So I would say probably like a couple hundred people that I was able to do it in front of. And this is where something connected with me. I was like, all right, something here is where I'm supposed to be. I'm where I'm supposed to be somehow. As soon as I'm done like delivering the message, I just can't stop crying. I felt that same presence I felt. That same presence that I felt when I was in the shower is the same presence that I felt when I got finished preaching. And not only I felt it, but there were people around me. When I went back to sit down, and I could tell they felt the presence of God. They probably didn't even know what it was. I was crying. The girls behind me were crying. Some of my homeboys, the football players, they were crying. It was the Holy Spirit moving after I preached. And I'm still like, whoa, what is happening? I didn't understand. But that was the Holy Spirit moving after I got finished preaching. So I went on from there, had a fantastic trip. I graduated high school. I had already signed to go play football at this college. I went to play football at this college in Nebraska, and I absolutely hated it. Hated it. I couldn't stand Nebraska. Nebraska is literally what they show on TV. It's nothing but a bunch of cornfields. Nothing but a bunch of cornfields and nothingness. Unless you're going to Lincoln or Omaha. There's nothing else anywhere else. This school is down in the corner, down in the bottom of Nebraska with nothing there. The school is beautiful. The school campus is beautiful, beautiful. It's up on this hill, looks off on the and then the football field is down in this valley. It's beautiful. But there was nothing out there. There was nothing out there and the people were weird. I just gotta say that. I tried to start a small Christian group. I had Satanists show up. I had Satanists show up to the Christian group, and they threatened to kill me if I came back out there again. And this is where my Christian life really shifted. I had a friend. He was a cool guy. And he was our transportation back and forth to like Walmart, because Walmart was like 45 minutes away. And it was like a small Walmart in like an empty town. Like, I mean, like I'm a city boy. I like the city. I'm talking about like Tampa, Orlando. That's what I like. But no, this was in the middle of nothing. And we went out to Walmart. We just got a refund check from our school. Went and bought PS4s, TVs, food, all this nonsense. And then the friend, he lived there. That's where he was from. So he ended up taking us to meet his family. But he took us to meet his family in the middle of the woods. We go to the middle of the woods. And he starts, his family's nice and everything like that. But there was a certain part of the night where the dad switched. Like, he switched. Like, I could look in his face and be like, whoa, that's something's not right. Something is not right with his father. I don't know why he's looking like that. Something's wrong. Then he says, hey, let's go to the gravesite. And I'm like, nope, I am not going to no gravesite. Not playing. I'm not doing that. But they were like, all right, well, you can stay here, but we're taking all the lights, because they had flashlights. We're in the middle of the woods. And I was like, all right, I'm going with the lights. So we go to this gravesite, and there's this like, they start telling this story of, this horror story up there. And there were just different things that were done. And I could tell there was a presence opposite of the good presence that I would feel. And at the time, I didn't really understand nothing. I didn't understand about like the presence of God. I didn't understand about demonic presences and stuff. But there was another presence there, and I could feel it. And I was like, y'all, we gotta go. But different things happen there. I'll go deeper in on a story on that, in another video. But we get back to the car. TV is smashed. Things were crazy. I'm like, this is insane. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call my mom. So I called my mom. I told her, TV was broken. She wanted me to take it back and everything. Did that. But from that night on, I dealt with something called, what do they call it now? Sleep paralysis, right? Sleep paralysis. That's when you feel like you're being held down in your sleep and things like that. So I felt like I was being held down in my sleep every night. And I had different experiences with like even being drugged to hell, I'm gonna say almost being drugged to hell. That's what it felt like. My limbs being torn apart in the spiritual realm. I had instances when I felt like they were like ripping my legs apart, ripping my arms apart, being choked, couldn't breathe, different things like, different spiritual things happening every night. I could see them walking around my room when I was in college, and I couldn't find any peace. I needed peace. Yeah, I needed peace big time. And that happened probably for like 2, 3 years. Yeah, 2, 3 years. I went through that, and I ended up going back home early. I went back home early. I was like, nope, I'm done with that. Done with that. I don't know what happened to me up there. I was like calling on God, and I'm just like, why is it? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? But ended up going back home, and then I don't know. I started to take a seat back. Even when I was up in Nebraska, I started back smoking weed again. I started drinking again. I started trying to sleep with girls, but it didn't really work. The Holy Spirit was there. The Holy Spirit was there. I had an opportunity, and I was going to. I was going to sleep with this girl, and then, because I just left the party, and I walked with her to her dorm. We were in the dorm. Me and my homeboy were in the dorm with her and her friend, and it was opportunity, let's just say that. And I walked away from it. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to my room. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm walking back to my room, and this wolf wolf walks out the woods and is staring at me like a big piece of meat. Yeah. And I'm almost to my room, but the wolf is there, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So what I start doing, I start backing up. And there was an academic building right there. And I was like, you know what? Let me see if this academic building is open. Like, the wolf was close, but it just stopped, and it was just staring. I started backing up slowly, and I never took my eyes off of it. And then I reached over to open the door. I opened it up. It was only a miracle that building was open. So I waited there for a while.